Whew. Okay, we're live. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Sexy Freedom Media podcast number 13. And today I have an exciting and wonderful guest. Her name is Pradeepa Narayanaswamy. Thank you, Pradeepa, for coming on. She is a fertility coach, founder of Lives Transformed LLC, and she is based in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's so exciting to be here, and I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity. I love that you said it's podcast number 13. Did you say 13?
13, yes.
That's my birthday.
Oh, that's exciting.
That's what I thought I heard. I just wanted to make sure. Was it 13 or 30? I thought I heard 13. So yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate being on the show with you today.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I'm really excited because you're a fertility coach. And first of all, the first thing I want to introduce to everybody out there who may not know what the word fertility even means. Can you explain what that is? What is fertility?
Absolutely. So fertility, or where I come from, is typically a human body's responsibility of producing an offspring, a child. So fertility plays a big factor into that. There are a lot of things that plays a big factor. Of course, human body is a very complex thing. So fertility means, your body has the natural ability to produce a child when you have, the typical time frame that doctors talk to you about is unprotected sex for a year. Mm-hmm. So when you have an unprotected sex for a year, the chances of, you should be getting pregnant, if everything is going very well with your body and your partners. So that's what fertility means. But I work with people for whom this area is challenging. That's why we call it like infertility, meaning people who are not able to reproduce on their own for whatever factors. There are so many. I mean, you cannot just pinpoint one thing. There are so many things. Like I said, it's a very complex thing that we are dealing with, our human body, our human system. There can be so many things that can go on inside us. And any of those permutations and combinations, if it doesn't work well, it affects a human's ability to reproduce. So that's what is called infertility.
Yes, thank you for explaining that to anybody out there who's always wondered what is fertility in the first place. And for those of anybody who's listening who is trying to have a baby and, go down that road, tell us, I read a little bit of your story, fascinating. Please share with us your story and why you have found your purpose in this particular path.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. Yes, it is my passion came to me. It's not like I picked a thing from the hat and I decided to become a fertility coach. It really came to me as a sign from the universe, to be honest with you. So my journey, the reason why I became a fertility coach is because of my pain and struggles with infertility years ago. And I had a really long, treacherous, painful, very dark journey, 8+ years, with all sorts of failures. I've been married for 18 years now, but I started having miscarriages after six years into our marriage, 3 miscarriages. And then, we were referred to fertility specialists because my OBGYN, our gynecologist, wasn't able to figure out what's wrong with us. So she referred us. So doctors put us in different treatments. So I'm going to throw some acronyms. So I'll explain what they are. IUI, which is intrauterine insemination, very common procedure, a starting procedure for fertility treatments, one of the starting procedures. So 3 of them failed, and then our doctors recommended, let's go into the golden standard for fertility treatments, which is IVF, in vitro fertilization. So even until today, Helen, IVF is the golden standard for fertility treatments. It's there is a big financial aspect associated with it because it's expensive. It's quite expensive, and majority of the insurance doesn't cover it. I mean, for majority of the people, so there is a huge financial burden associated with this. But alongside, there is also this physical aspect to it. There's so many, procedures. You need to be extremely disciplined about it. Injections need to be given at a certain time, at the top of the hour. If you have to do it, you have to do it at the top of the hour, like not 1 minute before, 1 minute after. It's like that. Medications that go along, the blood work that has to go along, the tests that the doctors recommend, which are kind of a little bit invasive into the body, that goes along for the ride. Or if they found anything anomaly in your body, in your your reproductive system, there are additional procedures to rectify that. So there's so much goes on for the ride until it comes to a point where like they take the egg, they take the sperm, they mix it in a bowl outside, and they form embryos outside, and they put the embryo, which are of good quality, inside you. So that's how it works, actually. It's a really long time frame. We're not talking about, this is not a week long thing. When you start, your periods, when you're ovulating, it takes 2 to 3 months for this whole cycle. Mm-hmm. And you're taking a lot of medications, which can, affect your hormonal system and a regular hormonal system. So, and, like you're already going through the pains of infertility, meaning I'm not able to reproduce my own child, right? So there is that going on, along with this physical aspect, along with the mental aspect. You're doubting yourself, like, is this it? Is this the time it's going to work? Or, my God, it didn't work the previous times. When is it going to work? There's that self-doubt. And for me, there was also a big spiritual aspect. When I started seeing these failures over and over again, I'm not super spiritual and all, but I do believe in the higher power than me. I do have some spiritual aspect to it. I was angry. With my spiritual God. I was angry with God. I mean, like, why me? Why not me? Like, why did you choose me to be this way, right? So there is that.
Totally understandable.
Yeah. So it affects you financially, but it affects you physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Overall, not just, your family life. It affects your overall life. It affected me personally. It affected my relationship with my husband. It affected my relationship with my friends and family, especially if they are going through, when they are getting married and getting pregnant and celebrating baby showers and birthday parties. Those were like really very hard times for me personally. And I was putting on a mask at work because there was so much shame that I was carrying on. I didn't expose anything personal to my colleagues and coworkers. So overall, it completely affected me and my well-being. And I said, like, I went through IVFs. We tried for 8 times. All of them failed 8 times, and back to back to back to back, and including donor cycles. So at some point, our doctor recommended, Pradeepa, we don't know what's wrong, but maybe we should drop, using your eggs and try donor cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And getting a mindset to use somebody else's eggs, it's a mindset shift. I was not open at that time because knowing that, like, oh my God, it's going to be my husband's sperm and somebody else's egg that I'm going to carry. And this child is not going to look like me. I know that, right? It's not going to look like me. And I don't know what behaviors and characteristics that it's going to bring. And what if I get angry, after the child is born? Will I have a hatred towards he or she, knowing that he or she doesn't come from a part? There are all these confusions,
mm-hmm.
stories that I was making up in my head. And somehow, I had to put them aside, and I have to get the courage to say, yes, I wanted to go. I was very hesitant. And many of my clients and people that I've talked to who are in the similar state, it's not an easy decision. It tests you differently. There needs to be a maturity to say yes to that, right? So then we did 3 cycles of donor eggs.
Mm.
Nothing worked. I got pregnant the first time with twins, but I ended up losing. It. So yeah, it was like this is the analogy that I use. Like it's like every time, I will be with this hope of this is it, this is my chance, right? Giving it all in. It's like climbing 30 stairs, right? Stairs to the 30th floor of a building, only to find myself falling flat on my face from the window of the 30th floor every time. And then I have to pick myself back up and I have to climb the stairs again. So that was, it was like that every time. And every time I fell down, I broke even more inside. I died a little bit more inside. I was in a very dark place. I was in a shell. I remember one day, at that time I was in Milwaukee, very it was in a winter evening. I came from work. I really didn't want to go home. I was sitting outside my home in my car. It was very cold for 3 hours.
Wow.
After coming from work, I didn't want to go inside. I didn't want to go face that, whatever the reality is.
Mm-hmm.
Just sitting in my car for 3 hours, Helen. It was horrible.
Oh yeah, I bet. Wow, that's dark. It's heavy for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So that was my journey, 8 years. And then, I mean, like, the worst part in my journey is the doctors couldn't find. I saw multiple doctors. It's not just the one doctor, right? I was desperate. I was in Google every day searching for an answer, searching for something that I can do to make this work, because I'm not a person who gives up. And I didn't want it to give up easily. So I tried acupuncture, I tried this, everything that there is to try. I tried it, right? Yet it's not happening. So the worst part there is they couldn't find anything medically wrong with either one of us. So they give you
Wow.
this beautiful term called unexplained infertility.
Hmm.
Unexplained infertility, and it is a common term for people whose failures cannot be pinpointed to a reason or a cause. And that is so frustrating, because when you have unexplained infertility, you cannot have a closure. Oh my God, I have this PCOS or endometriosis. That's why I'm not able to. So
Right.
at
Yeah.
least I can get a closure with that, right? I have a problem, a physical ailment. That's why I'm not able to reproduce. Okay. All right. That was as God has given me. Okay. I agree to that and I accept that and I'm moving on. It may not be thrilling, but at least I can use that to move on. But with unexplained, with the tries that with the effort that I put in, and every time I tried this, it just didn't happen. And unexplained is not an answer that I was willing to accept. Right? Tell me something is wrong, and the doctor said, like, sorry, Pradeepa, we can't. Right?
Yeah.
We don't know why it's not happening for you. We tried all the things there is to try. So after the 8th try, my husband even wanted to go for one more. Let's go for one more time, because Helen, with infertility, age is a pretty big factor. The more older you get, even chances of getting pregnant with the modern procedures like IVF drastically goes down. Drastically goes down. But after the 8th failure, somehow I don't know what got into me. I said, like, I don't want it to go for one more time. I wanted to stop right here. And my husband, very sweet man, he respected my decision. He didn't force me or anything like that. So we stopped. And we decided to go with the adoption route. So that's the route that we chose to go. And we started the adoption paperwork. But like I said, even after we started the adoption paperwork and we were going through all the processes for adoption, on my head, in my mind, there's this big question mark that was hanging all the time, like, why me? Why not me? Like, why did I have to go through this? Right? This is something that I have never experienced seeing other people going through when I was growing up. I'm originally from India, and out of amazing things India is known for, it's also known for its population. And nobody in my family has struggled with infertility as far as I know. So when I had to go through something like this, it totally turned me over. Because you get married, like you have sex for some time and you get pregnant. That's what I know. Because that's how people get married and they announce their pregnancy after some time. But when it didn't happen, like it totally shifted me. It totally shifted me. It made me doubt myself. Because it's a thing that's supposed to happen, right? You're born with a complex body, but everybody reproduces. Reproduction is a natural thing in a human evolution. And if it didn't happen, that's where I was very naive about this. I didn't know about this, right? Because I haven't seen anybody going through this. It totally changed my perspective, and it totally shook me in a fact that what will others think about me? There was so much shame.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, you have this life plan and you grew up in a certain culture that the plan is always executed, only to find out.
I'm an anomaly there, right? I'm the odd duck there. Right? I am the odd duck in the family there. And there was so much shame that I cannot stress that enough. There was so much shame. I mean, yes, there was sadness. Yes, there was frustration. Yes, there was anger. Yes, there was hopelessness when I was going through this multiple failure. But I was holding on to so much shame. And the other important, emotion that people often don't agree to or accept, but still go through this is jealousy. There is an unintended jealousy that creeps up in you very badly, especially when you are going through all this and having these losses, and people around you are getting married and getting pregnant and celebrating baby showers and birthday parties, and it just, you can't help it.
Yeah, I bet, especially as we get older, especially women and even men. I've heard it from men too. As they get older, we get older. We do tend to get jealous of the others who have what we don't have, what we think we're supposed to have, or we do want at that time in our life.
Okay, you want something so badly and you're giving everything in for that thing that you really, really, really want. And yet, for some people, like they're getting married and getting pregnant in a month. Like, what? Like, why? Right? Why not me? Right? There is that jealousy that forms. It's nothing malicious or anything, but you can't help it. And I was jealous. I would not have, if we were spoken when I was going through this, I would not have ever expressed to you, even if you were my closest friend, that I'm jealous. That I have jealousy. No, I would not, because there is a shame factor to it, because jealousy means that's bad, right?
Right.
Oh my God, I'm having something nice here and you're my best friend and you're jealous of me. People often, Helen, cannot relate if people haven't gone through infertility struggles. They cannot relate to others who are going through infertility. It's just apples and oranges. People shouldn't even. So a request to all the listeners out there, if you know of somebody who's going through, or you may be suspecting somebody who is going through something like this, infertility, don't ever say that I understand if you haven't gone through it, because you don't. I don't mean it to be in an arrogant way, but I want this to be informational, because oftentimes people say things that are well-intentional, but it can really sting people and cause deeper pain and wound in people going through infertility. And that's why I very recently wrote an article for a fertility magazine called Fertility Road, 20 things you don't tell people who are going through infertility. I've been getting amazing responses from people like, Pradeepa, this this is spot on. Like, this is so great. I want everybody to read this because people need to know. Because some people will just say, just relax, it'll happen. I relaxed, it didn't happen. My OBGYN said, like, drink wine, it'll happen. First of all, I don't drink wine and it didn't happen. Right? So things like that, it was said with well intentions and good meaning from good-hearted people, right? None of them are malicious. Nobody gets up in the morning and looks up in the mirror like, I'm going to be a jerk to somebody going through infertility. No, nobody thinks about it like that, right? So these are well-intentioned comments, but people sometimes need to stop and think like, it's an awareness issue.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely an awareness issue, and especially the fact that in our society today, everything's go, 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 fast, 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 that our minds are even going as fast as our life is going. It probably actually faster. And nobody's taking time to be conscious of what they're saying, or even conscious of the fact that they may have said something that shouldn't have been said, and to withdraw it and maybe clarify in a more respectful way.
Absolutely. That's amazing. That's amazingly put, right? We are not stopping to think before we talk. Mm-hmm. Right? Our life has become so busier, so our conversations have also become unintentional. They are not intentional.
Yes. So now you've been on this journey of pain, and 8 years, you said. I mean, that's a very, very long time. And thank you so much for sharing your story. I actually know of 2 friends of mine who have, one who has gone through a similar situation and one who's going through it right now. And she's probably going to listen to this. So tell us how you transformed out of that dark place. What happened? We know you adopted a son, right? A son. Yes. I read it. And tell us more about that. What is the light at the end of this dark tunnel?
Yeah. So the adoption process was going on the side. Like I said, even after we started that, with this unexplained infertility hanging around my head and showing like, yep, you can do it. You can do it. You're a failure. You're a failure, right? Everywhere I go. And that's how it was for 3.5 years, Helen. For 3.5 years, I was holding on to that. I couldn't get a closure, which was, again, a long time, 8 plus 3.5. Mm-hmm. A really long time to hold on to something like that. When I was going through infertility, I went to support groups. They didn't help me. I mean, it was a pity party, like everybody comes and talks about their pain, and including myself, and everybody feels sorry for others, truly may not be, because you're already wound up in your own pain and you get up and nothing has changed in your life. And therapy didn't help me because, like I wanted to move forward. I needed clarity. I wanted to get unstuck, but therapy wasn't my therapist. She hasn't gone through like what I have gone through. So my attitude towards her was like, you have no idea what I'm talking about. You have no idea. You don't understand what it is like to wait for your doctor's call, panicking, like looking at your phone every 5 seconds, just to know only that this time also it didn't succeed. Right? It wasn't fun. Amazing women, but therapy, that didn't really resonate with me. It didn't really help me move forward. So 3.5 years, I really struggled with this. And one fine morning, I was at a conference actually. So technology conference, I'm a technologist as well. And somebody, I don't remember what the topic was, but the speaker somehow talked about what's called passionate listening. And it was a term from Harriet Lerner. She was a very famous psychologist, author, and speaker, well-renowned person. And the concept goes like this, listening with the same passion that you would want it to be listened to as well.
I love that.
Listening with the same passion that how you want it to be listened to as well. I'm paraphrasing it completely, but if you wanted to check it out, or if your listeners wanted to check it out, check out Passionate Listening, Harriet Lerner. I somehow like I was just doing something on my phone or tweeting or, like whatever I was doing in my phone. Suddenly I looked up and, what is that? That's somehow it resonated with me very, very deeply. And I didn't know why. I really didn't know why. And later that night, I was in Milwaukee still, but this conference was happening in Chicago. So we were in downtown Chicago. So later that night, I was lying on my bed, still like replaying the day, like why this passionate listening, like so much touched me. Because I really couldn't understand, and it was a very busy day, so I really couldn't think or introspect on that. But when I was lying on my bed and thinking about it, suddenly I started tearing up, like it just uncontrollably. And I realized it has everything to do with my infertility. And what I realized at that time was I didn't have anybody passionately listening to me. I didn't have people who can relate to me and understand me in a way that I wanted to be understood. And I didn't have that during my long, treacherous, dark, painful journey, shameful, jealous journey. And then immediately something was revealed to me. Boy, why am I complaining about this? Like, I am now complaining about that I didn't have anybody to listen to. And first time I realized I am a victim to infertility. I have fallen victim here. I hated that. I hated that feeling. I don't use the word hate a lot, but I truly hated that. Like, ugh, it was just so icky.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wanted to do something about it. Immediately, I thought, like, instead of me complaining about, was nobody there to passionately listen to me, why can't I do something about it and start being a passionate listener to others?
Yes, sister. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Immediately I smiled. You know what? This is something that I can change. And that moment, that question mark went away. That question mark went away and I saw the light. I know it was probably the hallway light at the Hilton Hotel, but but it was the light at the end of the tunnel for me.
Wow, that's beautiful. It's beautiful.
That day moving forward, I started my practice being a better listener, being a passionate listener, not even just a good listener, a passionate listener. And I have grown so much in that. People often notice, a couple of years ago, my friend Chris here in the Dallas area, he told me, this was he just told me this, like, Pradeepa, whenever you're talking to me, even in a crowded room full of people, I always know that you're paying complete attention to me. And in my mind, I was just smiling. Boy, I'm a passionate listener.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where I became good at listening. But that's where I got my closure. That's the day in Chicago. After the first day of conference, I got my closure and I saw light at the end of the tunnel, Helen.
Beautiful, Pradeepa. Wow. Well, it's miraculous how it just the light came to you and opened your consciousness to see that. So now today, how long have you been a fertility coach? And also, I do have a question from a friend of mine who I told her you were going to be on my podcast, and she actually had a question. So first question is, how long have you been a fertility coach? And the second question is, she wanted to know, what is your advice or biggest advice to couples, how to keep them together, keep the romance together while they're going through this hard time?
Love that question. It so resonates with me. So I've been a professional coach for 8+ years. So in organizational setting, I am a leadership coach inside a big organization. I have my own business for 3.5 years, 4 years, close to 4 years now as a coach. So, but fertility coaching, I've been a coach for a while. Coaching is coaching no matter. But fertility coaching is 1 year old, actually. I just celebrated my first year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Finding that niche, again, it found me. It found me last year at a conference where I was speaking. I speak a lot in conferences. So last year at a conference, one of my friend asked me, I wanted to quickly share this. One of my friend asked me, like, Pradeepa, I know you have your business and all as a life coach on the side. Like, what's your thing? He was asking for my specialty. What's my thing? That was a very powerful question for me. I didn't have like a one thing to tell him, but all of them came from my head. I wanted to be a minority women coach. I wanted to be an adoption coach because we have adopted our son. And somehow in that, I also said I wanted to be a fertility coach. I don't know where it came from. I said that out loud, and I even bit my tongue a little bit. What the heck I'm telling him? He doesn't know anything about my fertility. But he didn't, okay, he said like, yeah, okay, great. And we didn't had an extended conversation and kind of ended because it was a crowded conference. But I took that question again, and I like, what is my thing? And I was curious for myself, like, what is my thing? So it's a big conference, a week-long conference. And I'm glad I talked to my friend on day one. So I had 4 more days. Whenever I met somebody new, I introduced myself as these 3 different people. I'm a minority women coach, or I'm an adoption coach, or I'm a fertility coach, just to experiment to see how I'm feeling. Like, how is it resonating with me? And Helen, only when I talked and introduced myself as a fertility coach, there was a tingling sensation in my body. There was butterflies in my stomach. And every time, I don't know whether you can see me in camera, bumps in my arms, every time, over and over again. And I know that that's a sign from the universe. So came back from the conference. So you can even check in my LinkedIn profile. I wrote an article, came back from the conference, claiming my niche as an infertility coach. First time ever, I shared my fertility journey in LinkedIn with all my professional connections who had zero idea, because I hid it so well. Like I said, I was wearing a mask so well. First time ever, I shared something like this, only to get so much overwhelming responses from people, personal messages like, Pradeepa, I wish I knew you 9 years ago when I was going through infertility.
Wow.
Thank you so much for doing this, because I'm seeing my sister struggle through infertility every day. It breaks my heart. Thank you for stepping into sharing your expertise and serving this community. So messages like that, then and there I knew it, Helen. It's not about me. It's not about my journey anymore. It's about the people that I'm set to serve in this world. Not a life coach anymore. I'm a fertility coach. That's who I wanted to serve. Coaching is coaching no matter who you coach. But I chose this community. No, this community chose me.
Yes. Yes, and you can definitely tell you're so passionate about it.
Yes.
That's how you can tell what your true purpose is when you got that passion flowing through your veins. Like you said, you're getting chills. I'm getting chills just hearing it from you. I can feel your energy, Pradeepa. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
So yeah, I've been coaching for a long time now, my dear, but I started purposefully, intentionally, and wantingly work with men, women, and couples to help them in their infertility journey so that it sucks less. That's my mission statement. It sucks less. It's not going to be suck-free. There's going to be some suckiness no matter what, with all the things that they have to go through. But working with me, my mission is to help their journey suck less.
That's great. Yes. I love that. I love that it sucks less.
So no matter what the outcome is, right? I don't promise outcomes, but no matter what the outcome is, it sucks less. And I do remember your friend's question, tips for couples. I'm so grateful for that question. I'm so glad through your friend, you're asking me that question, because initially I just started working only with women because, I was a woman and I know how women struggle through this. And then after working with a bunch of my fertility clients, it became obvious there's also like there is this forgotten entity, which is men, who is men, right? They have equal partnership in this. They may not be going through the procedural aspects of it, the physical aspects of it like the women, but they are in this together as a couple. They are in this together. It's a journey of partnership, right? And oftentimes we forget men also go through loss, but they go through it very differently. And as a woman, when I was going through this, I'll talk from my experience right now. I was wound up in my own world with all the losses and all the emotions that was going through me. I never ever asked and check in on my husband. Shame on me. How are you doing? Never asked him that question even once. And I know that he was going through it differently. He was going through it too. And men has two responsibilities here, Helen. One is, they're already processing it in their own ways, however they know how to process it. And they have the supporting role as well, supporting their partner. When your woman is crying and being on this emotional roller coaster ride where you're feeling desperate and helpless, right? You wanted to do something about it, where you're the protector, right? I mean, men also comes from that angle, right? Mm-hmm. I'm the provider, I'm the protector, right? I need to protect my wife or my partner, right? So I'm going to ignore what's happening to me. I'm just going to concentrate on her. But that's not how we go about it. We should go about it, right? So because what they're doing is they are just ignoring what's happening to them. They are just sweeping the dirt under the rug. They are sweeping it. But the dirt is still there. Yeah. Under the rug. Eventually, when you open the rug, it's going to be a pungent, rotten smell. Mm-hmm. So that's happening. And then my relationship, I mentioned to you briefly earlier, with my husband, it was not going great. I didn't know what to ask of him. I was already in this pain. He didn't know how to support me. There was this big, thick, invisible wall building, tall and strong between us.
So what did you guys do? How did you get it spicy again?
My experience, it didn't, right? So many times, I'm just being very honest here. I'm not going to say like I did this. I'm very honest here. It didn't, right? So many times in my life, in my journey, during that times, I used to sit and think like, why am I on this relationship? Why am I on this relationship? And unfortunately, Helen, I'm doing some research right now on the side, trying to study infertility with couples and divorce, separation or divorce rates. Mm-hmm. It's extremely high. It's extremely high, the relationship between them. Not because of their inability to have a child. It's because of their inability to take care of the relationship struggles that come across between them. Fertility challenges put so much stress on a relationship. We don't expect it like that. You would be blindsided by it. It puts so much stress. There is this finger pointing, there is this shame, there is this judgment, there is this like, I am crying here desperately after I just lost the baby. You're just sitting there like a stone. And you see your husband not, tearing up, you think that like, oh my God, you have zero emotions. We just lost a baby. It's devastating. Like you have those, you won't have the, like sometimes when you have to say something, it comes out very badly.
So what would you suggest then for couple, now that you've gone through this, what would you suggest for women maybe to acknowledge their husbands or boyfriends or partners?
Absolutely. So first thing, I would definitely encourage women to understand that men also go through this. Men also go through this, but may not be the same way that you expect them to go through this. They have their own ways to go through this. that's what I was that I would always encourage. One of my client, she asked her husband on Father's Day. They're struggling with fertility challenges. How are you doing? That's it. And he broke down that day, it seems. And she was like startled by that because she has never seen him like that. So they go through it too.
So maybe just taking down, you know, the focus on yourself so much and just putting it on your loved one can
sometimes just ask them, right? You know, ask them, how are you doing? Right? How are you doing? They may not say, I'm doing fine. That's okay. But even asking that question will let them know that, you know, you do care about this relationship. And a couple more tips that I wanted to share. This is wonderful that your friend asked. Actually, I will share this. I recently wrote a blog about, again, to a fertility magazine called The Invisible Wall. And it's for the tips, 5 tips for people going through relationship struggles to spice their relationship up, or at least to, you know, to resolve some of the challenges.
Yes.
I'll share a few of them, and then I'll give you the link so you can publish it for people to see it. Number 2, what I would also suggest is, you know, think about when you are in this journey, it's really hard to think about other great things that happened in your life so far. But together as a couple, sit down and be intentional about reminiscing on some of the memorable moments in your journey, in your life journey, in your marriage.
I love that.
Right? Memorable moments, and look at a picture or in your iPhone or whatever that may be, that reminds you of the great time, of the love, of the passion, of the intimacy that you have for each other. Right? Reminding yourself about that, you know, even I'm talking about it, I don't know, it's okay. I'm all about goosebumps actually. So it will really help you ground yourself, you know, really ground yourself, because you are on this journey, you tend to fly a little bit. So having something to ground yourself and remind you of the days where you are happy, where you are not fighting, where you are not, you know, where you're not like having the silence between you, right? That will really help people. And last but not the least, I mean, I have some more. I'll let your readers, your listeners read about it in detail, but work with somebody. Because to me, work with somebody who truly understands this. Work with a professional who truly, truly understands this and have gone through this. The reason why I say that, Helen, is now looking back at my journey, there were few times if I acted on it, I would not have been here. I would have been in a very different place because I was so close to acting on my thoughts, like, why am I on this journey?
Yeah.
It came to me so many times, and I know I've talked to so many people. I'm doing this research on the side. Like I said, there are people who are separating or just living separated just so that people are saying, like, I can't stand him or I can't stand this. I'm just going to live separately. And
right.
People who are divorcing. So to me, your infertility journey should never be a reason to ending up divorcing each other. And work with somebody, right? You know, I offer couples coaching. That's the only reason. My own journey, Helen, my own struggles with my partnership, with my intimacy. You know, intimacy sucks during this time, seriously, because you're going through these procedures robotically. Intimacy sucks. So we need to be creative to finding different ways to reconnect with the partnership. And that's why, you know, I offer a special retreat. It's a beautiful side effect of my struggles. This is my latest, greatest product that I offer, service that I offer, a weekend retreat for couples, just to bring them out of their hustle and bustle. And this is for one couple at a time. It's a private retreat. to really help them reconnect.
I love that. Yeah. Private retreat.
Yeah, private retreat. I can make a bunch of money, by the way, if I bring a bunch of couples in. That's not the intention.
Mm-hmm.
Every couple is unique. Their journey is unique. Their challenges are unique. Their needs are unique. And I'm not going to have a playbook. This is how, not a blueprint, that this is how I'm going to do it. Every retreat is customized for the needs of the people for the needs of the couple. So my hope is, when they go out of the retreat, they're not only going out stronger, loving, passionate, and together to take on infertility, which is the smaller hump in their life road, but also they can take on anything that's being thrown at them in their life road, which should be a much longer journey.
That's awesome. Wow. I love that. Thank you so much. Those are 3 great advice tips for anybody out there, any of my listeners. Charette, shout out. Thanks for asking the question. And I love that you said the whole reminiscing, actually getting somebody to work with you. Perfectly said. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people have trouble is asking for help. But when you're going through tough situations, sometimes you need outside help. In fact, many times you need outside help to see what you're not able to see. So great advice there. I'm going to ask one more question, and this is just a question we ask on Sexy Freedom Media podcast. And being somebody who is relatable to a dark place, I'm a suicide warrior, and last year my brother committed suicide, and I know tons and tons of women and men out there who are struggling with it, and it happens when you are in those dark places. So I would really appreciate if you can tell somebody, maybe somebody out there who's listening, who's struggling with fertility, whose mind is going there, like, why am I on this journey? Why am I going through this? Why don't I just get rid of myself? Like, I can't give anything to the world. I can't even give anybody a baby, and they're thinking about and contemplating suicide. What would be your greatest words to them at this time?
Yeah. Stop and think for some time. Okay? Yes, this is such a sucky journey. It sucks a lot. Coming from somebody who had walked this walk for a really long time in a dark tunnel without any light, until I found the light in the Hilton Hotel. It's a very dark tunnel, but it doesn't have to be dark. Help is available. People like me, I can relate. The journey may not be the same, the experience may not be the same, but knowing that there is somebody who has seen that darkness and has also found the light at the end of the tunnel can walk beside you. And that's my sole purpose, Helen. I became a fertility coach to walk beside somebody who are silently struggling so that they can find their own Hilton Hotel light. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God. That's so beautiful. I love that you said that right now. It hit me in the feels, Pradeepa. It hit me. Thank you so much. Oh my God. I would love to have you on in the future again. I think you have this incredible light, this incredible voice and knowledge to give out to so many out there who are struggling and who are needing your service and needing your walk besides them. So thank you so much for coming on the Sexy Freedom Media podcast. I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for reaching out to me and finding me and I'm glad we finally made this happen.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for the opportunity today. I know that appearing in podcasts like this gives me an opportunity not only to share my story, and again, I'm sharing my story because it's not about me anymore. I'm sharing my stories because of people like, your friends or, like people who are thinking about like, why am I on this journey, right? They need to hear this. They need to understand that, they don't have to struggle and suffer in silence. they can easily tell that, like, oh my God, there is somebody who had gone through this. Why can't I just even talk to her? Right. So that's the reason. I mean, people, I wanted to create as much awareness as much as possible, so people know that there is help that's available, not just any help. There is help available through someone like me who has gone through a very harder journey.
Yes,
So it
yes.
makes a world of difference.
And where can they find you? Where can they find more about your information, your services?
All my information, including my retreat, is in my website. Website is lives, lives dash hyphen transformed, transformed.com, www.lives-transformed.com. All my information is out there, and I request your listeners to, check me out, and please, please, please don't struggle in silence. Please don't struggle in silence. You don't have to. Your journey doesn't have to suck. Let me help you. And that's why I'm born. That's my purpose in life.
Yay! All right. Well, thank you so much, Pradeepa. And we'll have you again. I know it for sure, because I feel like you've got so much more to tell us. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening in. And again, find us on Sexy Freedom Media Podcast on YouTube or sexyfreedom.com. And if you have any questions for Pradeepa, please reach out to her through her website. Thank you again. Have a great day.